Good morning, guys. TMD back with another Confessions of a Gaijin story. Big thanks to everybody that's been watching. I will be doing some replies, some responses to your comments, and a big thanks to everybody that's been watching my channel. Now this one's a particularly interesting one because this story was one that happened to me a good few years ago, and I was working in a city called Ueno, a private school, and it was my second year of working there, and something big happened. So basically I'm going to put the documentary or the video about this particular situation that happens quite a lot in Japan, and it's basically regarding Japanese teenage schoolgirls. Basically in Japan, the whole weird schoolgirl image stuff is kind of like a bit creepy and a bit weird. So if you're watching from outside Japan, or if you don't know anything about this culture, then let me educate you on this. In this documentary, to be honest guys, I was having kind of a mind block on how to do this video, because I was thinking, should I play the video first? Should I talk about it first and give you the story of what happened? And I kind of came to the conclusion it might be better for me to actually talk about the story itself first. So I was a school teacher, an English teacher, and it was the start of the new school academic year, which starts in April, and a couple of months had rolled in, and I was teaching the grade 1 students. Obviously I'm not going to give the name of this student, because this student actually lives in the next big city up from where I live now. So what happened was, this student was a very cute and attractive, vulnerable girl. She's quite small, and she kind of has the aesthetics of the whole kind of I'm cute, you know. So one day, me and my friends, we were, oh, I can hear English, Big Krista, oh no. It's crazy Pikachu machine. So me and my friends, we went out to Tokyo, Akihabara, which, you know, I've done a few videos on my channel about it, so you can check those out. But Akihabara is basically the main hub for Japanese anime and otaku culture. Gozaimasu. So it's the epicenter of people. Oh shit, man, I'm taking the long route round. I thought I'd go a different way today. So this is basically like the epicenter of this subculture of Japanese kind of, you know, fantasy, almost, so to speak. And I actually, the video that I'm gonna put at the end of this, or halfway through this video blog, will explain everything, and it'll give you guys a better understanding of what I'm talking about. Oh look, little dog there. Don't poop, man. Pick up the poop. It'll give you a better understanding of like what happened. And it was kind of like coincidental that this situation happened, because weirdly enough, I saw the video prior, and when this situation happened to me, that's why I acted in the way that I acted. Oh no, these guys are gonna fuck up the video. So me and my friends, going back to the story, me and my friends are walking down a particular street in Akihabara, and it's known as JK Alley. And JK just basically means high school girl. I'll put the definition in Japanese on this video, and this is going to be noisy. Guys, let me walk past these guys. It's going to be a noisy one. Where can I go down here? Put some pipes in. There are two cats there. So as I was saying, we're walking down this street, and this street is kind of weird because, as you know, they have what they're called maid cafes in Japan, and these cafes are where girls dress up as French maids and they do weird shit in there. Unfortunately, I'd love to make a video in there, but I can't. It's kind of restricted. You can't film in there. But there's plenty of videos on YouTube that I can link, and you guys can get an understanding what these maid cafes are. Now, there are actually licensed maid cafes or licensed places, and this is probably divided on this street because there's like a halfway point of JK Alley where you see like the legitimate maid cafes or girls handing out the flyers who are legitimate, right? There's nothing dodgy going on. But on the other side is the more creepier side, darker side. And actually it's been filmed on the documentary. You'll see it anyway, guys. So I kind of knew that when I reached a certain point of that road that some of the gals who are in the other half are the ones that are being controlled by not very nice people, probably a bit dodgy, sketchy people. And to my amazement, as I'm chatting to my friends, I see the fucking student, this girl, and she saw me and I saw her, and I was like, holy crap. Like what, like it was kind of funny because we kind of laughed about it. And then I just said to her, oh, hi, blah, 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 blah. How you doing? And what are you doing? Because I knew that most likely the people that she was working for were a bit sketchy, you know. And I left and I told my friends, like, oh, that's one of my students. And they're like, oh man, that's weird. It's never happened to me before. So I got home that night and I explained to my wife what was going on. And I said to her, what should I do? Now in Japan, some of these like private schools, they actually don't allow the students to do part-time work. They're not allowed. Only if there is like certain situation or criteria. For example, if the parents have no money or whatever, then they can get part-time gigs. Now these part-time jobs would be working at McDonald's, for example, or it's a nice garden. Oh, this is a tatami company that make tatami mats. These are traditional Japanese floorings. Very interesting. I should go in here one day and ask the owner if I can make a video. I didn't know that was there. Actually, this is the first time I've been down this street. So I explained to my wife, what should I do? Because if I tell the school, yeah, she's going to get into a lot of trouble. I know that. And for the job that she's doing, it's kind of like a bad image on the school, right? So I was really in a really bad situation. But then on the other hand, I knew the people that she was working for, and I was thinking, well, you know, she might get into trouble. She might get molested. She might get raped. She might have something weird done to her, because it does happen. And then on the other flip side of that, it was betraying her trust, because she begged me not to say anything. And I was like, oh man, this is not good. And it was kind of weird because, you know, that whole story, you know, bad timing kind of thing. A nice house. Bad timing, it was like, oh, I wish I never walked down that street. Oh, I wish I never went to Tokyo on that day. So this was like going around in my head for days. And I was thinking, what shall I do? What shall I do? And I thought, fuck it. I'm going to tell the school. I got to school that day, and we actually, it was the first lesson on Monday where this student was in my class, because I taught her. And it was the most awkwardest situation that I was ever in. It was surreal, because when she came in, she was obviously not herself, because she knew what I knew, and was I gonna snitch on her or grass on her? And I didn't know what to do, because I saw her and I felt kind of sorry for her, you know. And I kept quiet. I just did my lesson. And these beautiful flowers. When the lesson had finished, I wanted to chat to her privately, one-to-one. But there's not much time in Japan for those lessons, because they only have like 10 minutes break before the next lesson. So I chatted to her, and she just broke down in tears. And I was like, oh fuck man, this is gonna be tricky. So she broke down in tears. She said to me, I'm really sorry. And I said to the girl, I'm like, I think you should speak to a female teacher, because this is, one, I'm a foreigner, and two, I think you're better off speaking to a female. So that's what I did. I ran to the staff room, and I told my co-worker, who's an English teacher, about what happened. And she basically had like a small chat with a meeting. And yeah, it was kind of weird. Now what happened after that was the vice principal called me in and told me what went on. I explained to him the situation. Now this school, these bunch of arseholes, actually fired me. I think it was they got rid of me in October. Well, I actually walked out because they're a bunch of arseholes. The principal that was in charge was just a total knobsack, and all of his little minions underneath him, like the VP, also a knobsack. So I told him the situation. I don't think they holy shit. Crazy. I'm not quite sure if they fired me because of that reason. They weren't going to rehire me, which that basically means we're firing you, but in a polite way. So I didn't give a fuck anyway, you know. So what happened was, oh, there's a big fire going on now. So what happened was, the female teacher that I spoke to, she told me that they'd rang the parents. So I got basically I had a little meeting, and they informed the parents what happened, and they were shocked. Of course they'd be shocked, especially in their line of work. Now the reasons why she actually did that was, she was actually a guitarist in the school band, and she wanted to get into music. So she basically was doing this job to pay for a music studio. She was like recording shit and doing stuff for her hobby, and she needed the extra cash to pay the bills. Now what was going on was that she was basically lying to her parents, and obviously she was coming home late if she was at work. So she must have obviously lied about where she was, or if she was studying after school. And I think she kept that secret for quite a while. Now I never got a thank you from the school, which I don't really care about. The main thing was that this girl thanked me, and she said, "Thanks, Darren, for telling the school, because I could have got into a really weird, dangerous situation." And I basically kind of stopped her from having probably or maybe weird shit happening to her. Now if you check this video, you know, documentary, you'll understand how fucking weird it is. You know, there are grown men walking around with little 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds having fortune telling services and all other weird crap that goes on. And there's also other extra things that happens that I don't know about. It could involve something that could be sexual, could be something that's perverted, whatever. So like I said, it's not a typical job for a teenager to be doing that kind of thing. You know, working in a restaurant, that's fine. Working at McDonald's or in a convenience store is totally acceptable. But I'll leave it to you guys to I'll leave it to you guys to think what happened on my actions, and I'm going to cut the feed off now. I have to get to work, guys. But this is TMD out. Conventions of a Gaijin 2. Watch the documentary. It's an eye-opener. And oh, before I go, yeah, I forgot to mention this. If you look at the documentary, there's a KFC. It's quite famous, and basically at the KFC they have the guys that are like the pimps kind of thing, and those guys are still there now, and basically they don't like to have them being filmed, even to this day. And it's a bit sketchy because these guys are kind of like dodgy bastards, you know. I'm personally not going to film down there. I've told you the story. It's in the documentary, and that's one thing I needed to get off my chest. So I'm going to say goodbye to you guys. Peace.
Japan has an incredible tolerance for the sexual exploitation of young girls.
If somebody asked you what your job description was, what would you tell them?
女子高生とお話ができるお店。
なんかそこから軽い気持ちで始めたら、どんどんヒートアップしちゃったって感じです。
売る少女が悪いっていうような考え方が根底にはあります、残念ながら。買う大人と売る大人がいなくならない限りはこの問題はなくならないでしょう。
This is the Akihabara neighborhood in central Tokyo, and it's ground zero for JK, which is what the Japanese call schoolgirl culture. Schoolgirls are actually a really big business in Japan. They sell everything, including cartoons, comic books, they pack music venues, they advertise cafes and restaurants, but you may not have known that you can actually also buy the schoolgirls themselves.
JK stands for joshi kōsei, or high school girl, and along this strip, they're everywhere. Not shopping or hanging out like schoolgirls in Tokyo typically do, but selling various services, everything from fortune telling to massages, to a walk with a client around the neighborhood. All this is being sold in the open, and under the constant watch of a group of men who appear to be the girls' bosses. Before long, one of them comes over and demands we stop filming.
But this is a public street, right?
Yeah.
So why can't we film on a public street? I don't understand.
We're saying that we could shoot that way.
That way.
We can shoot that way. But he's making out like he owns the street.
He said so they're saying like, just don't shoot the girl.
There's clearly more going on beneath the surface, and we were determined to find out what we could. So we dropped into one of the busiest JK businesses we could find around here, one of several music venues where pop groups made up of school-age girls played at packed houses most nights.
All right, well, we're going to find out about JK culture in Japan. This is one of the JK bands. Hi, my name's Simon. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Okay, アキシブプロジェクトです。よろしくお願いします。よろしくお願いします。
The room is full of men, and many look to be years older than the performers, and they know the set list by heart. JK fans usually have a favorite girl, and they're fiercely devoted to her. Some even pay money for a chance at a little FaceTime after the show.
I guess this is an opportunity for all of the fanboys to get to know the band a little bit better. They can buy Polaroid pictures of them. They can meet them and speak with them. It's pretty innocent when it's just teenagers meeting teenagers, but that guy's a little bit older.
You have this woman who is your fantasy, and you have an opportunity to meet her. But it doesn't seem real unless you actually touch the flesh. So that's part of the deal. I mean, you actually get close enough to her, get a scent of her, look into her eyes, and it perpetuates the fantasy.
Jake Adelstein has spent more than 20 years reporting on Japan's underworld for Japanese and American press outlets, including Vice News.
This is called Dogenzaka. The name Zaka means hill. This is called Love Hotel Hill.
He's also on the board of the Polaris Project, a nonprofit that helps victims of human trafficking.
So when the JK are taking their osan for a little bit more than a stroll, this is probably where they're going to wind up.
He's tracked the evolution of JK culture from its relatively benign beginnings to a dark and lucrative business.
So how old is JK specifically, the schoolgirl culture?
This issue of like young girls being paid by men to spend time with them first really came up in the 90s, and the term was called kōsei, which means compensated dating. So there would be older men that would spend money for girls to walk with them or talk with them because I guess they're lonely. Not every single guy who is paying money to spend time with a young girl wants to sleep with her or is a pervert. I would say maybe 70, 80%, but I don't know.
So do you think that a lot of these girls are being exploited?
This is the tough part. There's a real gray zone there. Obviously, some of the girls are being exploited. The problem with the whole osanpo no sanpo, walking with these old guys, is the opportunities for that to turn into something really nasty are manifold.
How much of it is organized by criminal groups? Is it something that's sort of naturally done by the girls themselves? They go out and find these dates? Or is there a network profiting from the schoolgirl business?
There's no single network, but you have isolated cases of saying, a group of individuals starting with one girl, collecting sort of a harem of girls and working them on the streets. I mean, there's many, many variations. It's a business opportunity, and it can be a form of human trafficking, as the State Department indicated in their last white paper on it.
The report, an annual review of human trafficking in Japan, singled out the JK walking dates, saying they are often fronts for underage prostitution.
So do you think that there's something that the government needs to do to rein the schoolgirl culture in? Is it getting out of hand?
You could sort of encourage education that would let women think of themselves as something other than sexual merchandise to be purchased by men. Part of the reason that you have this sort of Lolita culture in Japan is because the life and the opportunities for women are so bad. It's a hard thing to stop. This society is one of the most misogynist, sexist societies in a developed country in the world. I would not want to be a woman here.
Tokyo police only recently began raiding JK businesses that were fronts for prostitution. But many say the raids are largely for show. And walking around the Akihabara neighborhood, it seems like the news story should be about how many JK businesses are still open for business. We stopped by one, a tiny storefront on a busy street with suggestive pictures posted in the window. Nothing remarkable in a neighborhood full of places like this. But we wanted to see what an average JK business looked like on the inside.
Shoes off, slippers on. They've got Hello Kitties on them. Thank you. Hi. Thank you. Apparently I can chat for half an hour for 3,000 yen, which is like $30. And we can also do fortune telling.
じゃあ レモンティーになります。
Thank you.
はい、どうぞ。
It's very kind. Okay, so what's next on the menu?
占いがあるんですけど、恋愛があらゆる方法を駆使してアプローチするでしょうって書いてあるんですけど、長所が優れた直感力がある、態度はクールでも心優しいって書いてあります。
Okay, that's true.
本当ですか？心優しいですね。
This is a really uncomfortable experience. What other sort of things besides the fortune telling is on the menu?
あとお話ししてるんですけど、
What sort of questions do your other clients usually ask you?
なんか世間話とか、何でも楽しければ。
While we were talking, there was another rent-a-date going on across the room. With a hidden camera, we were able to listen in, but the conversation was pretty mundane. But it's hard to overlook the very creepy fact that an adult man has paid for the company of an attractive schoolgirl. And JKs often think they're agreeing to an innocent chat when their employers and clients expect something entirely different.
これはお散歩の時にたまに。
And that's your actual uniform which you wore to school as well.
これで学校行ってました。
That's what happened to this young woman, who agreed to speak with us on the condition that we concealed her identity. How old were you when you started getting involved with the JK walking?
16歳の高校2年生の頃です。
What was your home situation like? Why do you think you decided to get involved when you were just 16 years old?
なんかその時はお母さんがあんまり精神状態が良くなくて、で家族も仲があんま良くなくて、それで居場所がないっていうか、その秋葉原に出勤する時にビラ配りっていうのをするんですけど、その日常生活のことを忘れられるって感じです。
So you understood that you were supposed to walk with these men, but you thought that that was all you had to do.
そこから軽い気持ちで始めたら、どんどんヒートアップしちゃったって感じです。その裏のオプションもあるし、変なことが多いっていうか、その交渉して決めるオプションって感じで、それはその胸を触らせてお金もらうとか、その男の人を抜くっていうか、抜くっていうか。
When you were under the age of 18, did you ever take money for having sex with these guys?
それはあります。
そうですね、夜の街を歩いてだいたい10時半以降終電前の街を歩いて帰ることができずに一人でいる少女に声をかけたりするような夜間の巡回活動と。
This is one of the few advocates for JK girls. Her name is Yumeno Nito, and she says she's rescued more than 100 girls from trafficking, with dozens more calling her for help each week.
みんなお腹空いて豆腐サラダにしようかじゃあ。
This girl is the latest. She's hungry and lonely and ashamed about where life has taken her. Yumeno and two colleagues served the girl her first home-cooked meal in ages.
はい、ありがとうございます。今は、私たちは日本で、困窮状態にある少女たちの相談を受けています。で、中には JK ビジネスだとか売春や人身取引の被害に遭っている少女からの相談があって、そういう女の子の救済や、いろんな支援につないだりしています。それは最近落ち着いたの？
お母さんがですか？大丈夫かな。
友達とかは学校？
いや、いないです。
そうだった。
全然いない。
そうなんだよね。
もうシャレになんないぐらい全くいないんで本当に。
売る少女が悪いっていうような考え方が根底にはあります。残念ながらそこに少女たちが行き着くまでには、その背景には家庭での問題だったりとか学校での孤立を抱えている少女がほとんどです。で一方でその日本の政府は少女を取り締まるという方法でこの問題を解決しようとしていますが、買う大人と売る大人がいなくならない限りはこの問題はなくならないでしょう。大人たちは言葉巧みに少女たちを取り込み続けると思います。
Japan has been described as a shame-based culture, where the fear of letting down family or society dominates almost everything else. In the case of many JKs who've been coerced into sex, like this girl, they'd rather go into hiding and face hunger than seek help from family or friends.
緊急で来た時にねっていうことでこういうのもくれてて。あと私たちは食事を一緒に食べる食事提供の支援をすごく大事にしていて、一緒にその家族だったり誰かと食卓を囲む機会を持っていない少女や毎日困窮状態がゆえ食事を一日一食も取ることができていない少女たちへの食事提供をしたり一緒にご飯を食べるということで相談へのハードルを下げるような効果もあってそういう活動もしています。
すごい美味しい本当に。
最近誰かとご飯食べた？
いやいつだろう最後いつだろう。
誰かと食べるっていいよね。
Yumino knows what it's like to be all alone. As a teenage runaway, several men tried to recruit her into the schoolgirl sex industry.
社会に誰も私に期待してくれてる大人はいないって思っていました。でそういう時に街で生活をしている時に声をかけてくる大人というのが手を差し伸べる大人ではなくて、その改心を持ちかけてきたり危険な JK ビジネスに斡旋するような大人しか本当にいなくて、で私は幸い、売春やそういう人身取引の被害には遭わずに済んだんですけど、たくさんの友達はやっぱりそこで傷つけられて自殺したり失うこともありました。
It would be easy and unfair to single Japan out as the only culture to sexualize young girls. Tens of millions of dollars have been made on American pop culture exploiting the leering gaze of adults on underage girls. But there's something unique and especially unsettling about the fact that right out in the open, schoolgirls are available for rent by the hour in one of Tokyo's busiest neighborhoods.
I don't think Japan has a very good setup for dealing with runaways or children that are abused at home. Mm-hmm. And since there's no really good support system, one way they're going to earn a living is doing this kind of JK business stuff.
What would you say to somebody who said that we're just coming to Japan with our puritanical ideals and that we're telling the Japanese how to behave, imposing our culture on theirs?
I would say that Japan has signed the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It's a member of the UN. It has agreed to uphold the Poloma protocols against human trafficking. And all we're asking Japan to do is to live up to the international agreements that they've agreed to. And publicly, at least, politicians profess that they want equality for men and women. So I don't think we're imposing our puritanical views on Japan. We're just saying, do you really mean what you say?